Give me all of the dental hygiene items that you have.
Bring me a water flosser.
Surprise me.
Hi, I'm Claire.
And I'm Molly.
Welcome to Book Stupid. I think we look a little worse for the wear.
And for those listening, we sound bad,
We sound bad. We sound tired.
I got a note in our sound check, like, can you try not to sound hungover?
Actively hungover.
Which is so weird because I've never had a drink in my life.
No. Sober, she's like a Mormon.
For me, a nightcap is a hat.
A gorgeous hat.
A gorgeous hat.
I think a little fedora, maybe.
Silky. And then a tassel.
Yeah. So Molly is actually hungover. I'm just sort of like dead inside. Yeah. This is our third attempt at recording the third episode of this podcast. We've finally, on the third day, we ran into some tech issues.
Yeah.
The Yeti mic that we purchased 2 weeks ago
quit.
It was just done. Yeah, it was over it.
Yeah.
So fortunately we had another Yeti mic.
This is consumer goods in T2.
This is the tariffs.
And to be clear, we're calling the second Trump administration T2.
Yeah, just get on board or get out.
And that's all we're gonna fucking say about
yeah, it's
that,
T2.
Okay?
Get real. It's T2, get real.
But on the third day, we're rising again.
Yes.
And I will say, there's a nice symmetry going on here. Episode 3, third attempt. Like, this one's gonna work.
It's gonna stick, for sure.
And today is a special day in cosmic ways, right?
Yeah, it's the end of my Saturn return.
Yeah.
Thank
God.
I got a message from The Pattern, my astrology app today, that said, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Like, you survived.
I didn't remember that the end of mine was the 30th until the 31st, and I woke up like,
thank God.
I think it would have filtered into my day if I knew.
I kept thinking, I was like, what's going to happen on the 2nd? Like, it's Groundhog Day. Anything could happen.
Something big is going to happen.
Did he see his shadow, do you know?
We might have to toss that to producer Jupes.
Okay. Yeah. That means
6 more weeks of winter.
Fucking
He saw his shadow, 6 more weeks of winter. But he's also expecting.
He is, yeah. Jupes informed us earlier that he's gonna be a dad.
And then for those maybe who are not as inclined towards astrology, Saturn's return, it's just like
we talked about this in the last episode.
Did we?
I think so, because we were like,
I had like 1,000 drinks last night.
we talked about how ours are 3 days apart. There are 3 dates.
Even not threes
yeah,
everywhere.
Oh my God, we should like buy a lottery ticket.
I guess so.
Maybe. Third mic.
It's our third mic.
And I do want to just say, this mic was the mic that your mom gave you for Christmas or your birthday.
Talk about packing your bags.
Okay, yeah. So Molly's mom gave her this mic like a year ago, 2 years ago. Because she was like, you should start a podcast, right?
Yeah.
Or like, you should use this for something.
You'll know when it's time.
You'll know, and it's really... Molly's mom also has this like phrase, which I don't know if she got it from somewhere, but it's like, always be ready for when the thing you want to happen happens. Like, have your bags packed.
Prepare as if it is going
happening.
To happen.
Yeah, like she was trying to get us to say like, what do you want from your career? And I was like, I don't know, like plucking from many dreams I might have of like going on a tour someday. And she was like, pack your bag, not actually, but like do the things you need to if you want to be in a relationship, she told me I need to get
and this one was so pervy. Like, my mom is telling Siege, well, shave your legs, clean your apartment, and get sexy underwear.
All 3 things I almost always need to do. So speaking of sexy underwear,
Sure. Go for it.
We did, can I talk about the white panties?
No problem.
Okay. The reason we look so beautiful right now, despite also looking so haggard.
And if you're listening, please believe us. We're stunning right now.
Beautiful. Our hair's it's blown out. It's because we did our photo shoot for our, is that what you call it?
I guess,
thumbnail?
Like various Book Stupid promo materials.
Yes.
Yeah.
Collateral.
Design collateral.
Design collateral. And we got gorgeous blowouts for it. Wore these white dresses. And this is going to come full circle because anyway.
I'm with you.
I was wearing black underwear because I always wear black underwear, and it was like entirely see-through, and I was like, Molly, like, don't you please have a nude thong for me to wear under this white dress? And she was like, no, but let me see what I have. And she pulled out a pair of like Victoria's Secret white creepy ass panties,
like lace up front,
yeah,
like crisscross.
They had a lace up front, and she was like, oh yeah, these are for my Aunt Cindy.
They were from my Aunt Cindy. They were,
Yeah.
I think, a gift at my bridal shower. I don't know. They really only get any play when I have soiled every other underwear in my repertoire.
Yeah, because when are you reaching for a white panty? I just can't even.
It's uncomfortable, and I'm sorry, it has panty lines.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
You just can't do that.
I can't afford that in T2. I can't afford it.
I can't let people know I'm wearing underwear.
Which you feel differently
I
about.
do. I think I try really hard. That's one of my like things where I'm like, yeah, I'm wearing underwear. Why is that? Like, yeah, I have a VPL because I'm wearing underwear. Like, why are you mad?
I don't. What's a VPL?
A visible panty line.
Oh, really?
Yeah, VPL is a visible panty line.
And do
Yeah.
we like?
People say that, right?
Sure, I guess. Like now, I will.
Julia's
now that
not
I
heard
know.
that? Okay, yeah. People, I don't know where what it's from, but like.
Our producer's saying you're the first person
First ever to coin VPL. I feel like my sisters say VPL. That might be where I.
That might be. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I'm like, yeah, I'm wearing underwear. Like when I'm wearing leggings at the gym, I'm like, why should I have to put myself through the discomfort of wearing a thong?
I'm like, it's not uncomfortable to me.
I don't understand that.
It's like, I don't know. It's just what I've been conditioned to accept. Do you accept the love you think you deserve?
You accept a wedgie, a constant wedge.
A full brief is often more uncomfortable. I think sizing in a full brief is so essential because it can cut into cheek in a way that's criminal.
Well, let me say, I put on the tiny whites. That underwear went a quarter of the way up my crack, and then I was like, I gotta get out of this situation.
I'm not sure how.
I gotta
I'm
get
worried.
out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna try and cover the things that we already covered a little bit.
Well, right. We've got stuff to say.
Yeah.
That unfortunately microphones have been trying to block
They're
us.
trying to silence us. Yeah.
Another woman's silence.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's right. So like, let's just kind of roll through the recap.
Okay.
Well, okay. So first up, we were in DC.
We were in DC. I think in the last episode we were talking about how we are always really funny on Amtrak. So we took the Amtrak down to DC for our friend's 30th birthday party.
And I just fucking love riding the rails with
It's
my girl.
just, there's nothing better.
With my girls.
Yeah.
Because we had
a third.
We had a crew.
A third.
third on the Amtrak. So we were there for a good time, not a long time. And
No.
actually that is what made it so sweet.
Yeah.
Like riding the Northeast corridor to go to another city, let's say within 4 hours distance, spending importantly, one night there.
Yeah.
And then riding the rails back. Actually, the formula for a really nice
Yeah,
weekend.
we had a great time. I think we were very tired, but that was like of our own.
Yeah.
It was a hell of our own creation
It's
in a
also
lot of ways.
because we had like maybe 9 cigarettes.
Yeah, at least I would say. I packed I can never say that word.
Marlboros.
I packed Marlboros because the theme of the birthday party was Stephen in the City, a play on Sex in the City, and I was like, and he loves cigarettes. He does, not me.
It was like you being so generous and having your first with him.
Yeah. I was like, I guess I'll try cigarettes. So I brought a half a pack that I like found in my apartment.
I wonder where the other half of the cigarettes went.
I guess like someone like must have left them at my apartment. I don't know. But I was like, I should bring them.
Yeah.
And I think
Which was very sweit of you.
it was so thoughtful.
Yeah.
And we all kind of indulged.
We sure did.
Pulled a carry.
Yeah. And on the Amtrak, so we kind of went in, we're type B girls, it's largely why. Jupes, the tourist, type A, is...
Like,
she's often
literally holding our hand through this.
like, and she's not mad, she's just disappointed.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. She just wished she just would like it if we were different.
Yeah.
Please take the trash out.
Yeah.
Take the literal and figurative trash
Yeah.
Okay, but so we were kind of like, free balling on our way to DC. We thought we were going to stay with another friend who lives there.
Yeah.
And then we kind of realized we're adults with our own bank accounts.
Yeah.
And in fact, credit cards, we're allowed to have those now.
Yeah.
And we were like, we can sleep in beds.
Yeah. We don't have to, like, sleep tip to tail on a couch.
Here we are celebrating a 30th
Yeah,
birthday.
like, geez Louise.
Let's go home to a bed afterwards.
Yeah.
So we, on the train, booked a Marriott.
Marriott.
And, another standout moment.
Yeah, it was, we were, like, on the train, and I just thought to myself, I bet none of these girls brought a toothbrush with them. Like, if I know my girls...
Yeah.
No one here brought a toothbrush.
Right.
And so I was just like, did anyone bring a toothbrush?
Yeah.
And all three of us were like, absolutely not.
Right.
But you had the bright idea once we unlocked the Marriott.
It's not this to me was not, like, this was not an epiphany.
Yeah.
This is business as usual. When you're staying at a hotel, the great advantage is you can call the front desk and you can ask them for anything.
Yep.
But most importantly, you can ask them for a toothbrush.
Yeah. Well, actually, a dental kit. Well, he kept being like, I'll ask them for dental kits. And I was like,
I don't even know if I, like, seeded that phrase with you
Oh,
guys. 'Cause it's like,
yeah.
They're not ready for what's about to
I
happen.
can't drop dental kit right now.
No.
But then she called the front desk and she was like, can you please bring up 3 dental kits? And I
In,
was
like, a moment of silence. We're all
Yeah.
doing, like, independent phone time. In
Yeah.
a way you kind of have to after the train sometimes.
Yeah.
And I picked up the phone. I called the front desk. I said, 3 dental kits, please. And you want a dental kit because just ask for a toothbrush. That's all you'll get.
Yeah.
Ask
And then
for
you're
a
just brushing
dental
with water. Because guess who didn't also bring toothpaste?
Right. Ask for a dental kit. You're saying, give me all of the dental hygiene items that you have.
Bring me a water flosser.
Surprise me. Know that I'm asking for the absolute outer boundary of what you can give me.
What you're about to give me, I've never even owned.
A tongue scraper. I'm looking for whitening
Mouthwash?
strips. Yeah.
Oh, whitening strips.
Whatever it is. I want the kit.
Yeah, I want the full.
In this case, it included a toothbrush, toothpaste, and floss.
I wouldn't know because despite asking for 3, 3 dental kits, they only brought 2, and nobody bothered to ask me if I wanted one. So.
Okay, but also notably, the only reason you knew is because when we were leaving the hotel, saying goodbye, checking out, I said, oh, by the way, they only brought 2 dental kits. You were none the wiser. You never even looked for it.
Well, because I was already like chewing gum, so I'd kind of taken care of the issue.
And now that you mention it, that should come in a dental kit.
Oh my god, that would be. Maybe this is like a business. Dental
Totally.
kits.
Sign me up. I'm in
Yeah.
as an investor and a consumer.
Yeah. No, but I feel so empowered at hotels to be like,
Yeah.
can I have a gun? I forgot mine at home.
Yeah, and
And I'm sure
typically
hotel employees love that.
they're very accommodating.
Yeah.
I heard a phrase from my brother-in-law, that has been bouncing around in my head ever since.
Okay.
I think it's an Irish phrase. He himself is very
Ooh,
Irish.
yeah.
Never suppress a generous urge.
That's gorgeous.
I think I'm kind of into like mantras or mottos right now. Like my team at work was like, hey, what are mantras you get? Like, for example, eat the frog. That's what I'm trying to practice. I don't know
guess
where
what that might mean. Eat the frog?
I don't know the provenance of it.
Okay.
But the sentiment is basically like that thing that you're avoiding doing it, just do it.
Oh. Okay.
It's always better to just get it done.
I like that.
Eat the frog.
I do want to know what the origin of that is.
For me, the mystery is actually part of the beauty.
Yeah.
But never suppress a generous urge, I think, is...
Sorry.
What was actually worse than you letting it
I know,
out
it was
was
me
watching
trying
you suppress it. So
It was way worse to feel as well.
Go off.
Do you guys want to know what Eat the Frog is?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay, that's just in from Jupes.
This famous piece of wisdom from Bill Gates.
Of
Fuck.
course.
God damn it. He recently said one of his greatest regrets is divorcing Melinda.
If I were Melinda, that would sustain me
For the rest,
of my life.
100%. Yep. That's another thing I couldn't stop saying 100%.
Yeah.
In the 24 hours we were in DC. It was like, I was kind of worried I was developing something.
An
bad.
issue.
Yeah, the troubles were upon me. But it turned out all right. I've mostly eradicated it.
One thing I wanted to just mention was while we were in the the Amtrak home from DC, I was like fighting some real demons in the form of like having had a Wawa hoagie the night before, and 11 vodka sodas and 9 cigarettes.
This episode is really making us seem like substance hounds, booze hounds.
But I had to have a movement in the Amtrak bathroom, and it was like one of those, like, it was not good, and my bra strap fell down while I was doing that, and
So actually justice for that bug.
actually no, it just it made me think like, yeah, I do think bra strap falling down is like the most annoying thing in the world, but like it only works when you're already doing something like so annoying,
So logistically
putting you
agitating.
agitating in general, I think is like the right word. Like,
It's not
fighting
fighting to
for-
find the missing girl.
yeah, it's not like because I think if you're doing something where like, yeah, you're trying to solve a crime or something,
Right.
you're not worried about your bra. It's not like enough. You're not gonna note it. You know?
Can you imagine wearing a strapless bra while you're trying to chase after something?
I
Where
seriously,
you're looking for a missing girl.
that's one situation where just taking the bra off and running is better. Because normally I'm like running without a bra is like actually like so painful.
Yeah,
but
I can relate. But okay.
it's like I hate that, and it's awful.
Yeah.
But I think strapless bra is actually worse.
We
That's
were-
like a jock strap. You're running with a jock strap.
We were walking just today, and you
Yeah.
said my strapless bra is actually in my pants.
It was in my pants. Yeah.
My bras become my underwear.
Yeah.
So
I think that idea is good. It just would have been better used in a situation where you're like having a really bad poop on an Amtrak train. Like,
yeah,
that's all I was trying to say.
Okay,
Viewing
yeah.
or, you
Well,
know.
so something I think a thread we have to pick up that we've just left in the wind from episodes past. It's like we're talking about Wishbone. Like
Oh, yeah.
everyone knows what Wishbone is. And generally we're talking about PBS.
Yeah,
Like
because-
it's monoculture. Because
Yeah.
for us it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
Yeah, we like didn't have cable. We both didn't have cable growing up, so we watched a lot of like the public broadcasting,
Right.
whatever.
And we've gotten notes that we were a little harsh on SpongeBob last time.
Which I don't apologize for.
So
the
we
record.
just want to take this moment to double down
Yeah.
and say SpongeBob fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Don't know how it got that level of cultural importance.
No, I mean I understand that it's like well written and funny, and
Yeah.
like it's one of those shows that is like works for children and adults, I guess. But like, find me a PBS show that doesn't do that.
Seriously. We're talking Arthur. We're talking Reading Rainbow.
We're talking Liberty's Kids.
Oh my god, Liberty's Kids.
Is it Liberty Kids or
Liberty
Liberty's?
Kids.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Liberty isn't the mother of the kids. I think the kids are even
Are
of,
just-
they mother Liberty.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, probably.
And Zoom. Oh my god, Zoom.
Yeah.
Which was kind of like, I would say, my entry point to reality television
Yes.
appetites.
Yeah.
Like, it was a cast of preteen to early teen kids. And they were like, you know, doing different segments. It was kind of part like sketch show.
Yeah, it was kind of like the Amanda Bennett. What was that? The Amanda Show.
Yeah.
Coded.
Yeah. But
Yeah, they were
for
doing
PBS.
Yeah, sketch and then like educational.
yeah, because they were doing
material.
riddles. They were doing little lessons.
Yeah.
They were doing experiments in the lab.
Yeah.
But being a Zoom kid, it was like, it felt like something, because they would turn over the cast.
Yeah, it was
So-
kind of like Disney Kid.
Yeah, it kind of felt like, wait, could I be a Zoom kid?
Oh yeah.
I got to a point, because I watched PBS until I was way too old.
Right. Same.
Where I was kind of shipping different of the young
my
teen. I was
God.
like, I think it really did prime me for loving reality television later in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably did. They probably kissed off screen.
Probably, don't you think?
Yeah. Wishbone was a program on PBS where like a dog, a little Jack Russell Terrier.
So cute.
He was so cute. Would be part of stories, right?
Yeah, he would like be one of the characters, and notably, he was the only non-human
Yeah.
in the show.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
all of his co-stars were human actors,
Yeah.
but he was always the lead, and he would be in Tom Sawyer. He'd be Tom.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, attending his own funeral kind of
Right.
thing, or Sleepy Hollow. You know,
The Sleepy Hollow episode is so good.
So good.
So good. My sister, sorry,
Please.
quick interjection. It's like the Halloween episode, right?
Yeah, it's spooky.
But my sister loved that episode so much, and my dad, who is like an obsessive like me, found like a DVD or VHS of it and sent it to her last year.
That is so nice.
Yeah.
That's romantic.
That is romantic.
That's really, really
That's like my
sweet.
dad's love language, just like
Yeah, like obscure gifts
right
that are very catered to a specific interest.
from eBay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I love that.
sweet.
Wishbone, right. Now you know what Wishbone is, and no one can say shit.
And you should check out the Halloween episode if you can find it on YouTube, because it's really good.
It is good.
Yeah.
Or maybe Siege's dad would send you a DVD.
Yeah.
If you got it
Maybe
like that.
if you didn't get the last copy in the world.
Maybe transitioning us into like more contemporary kind of media we've been consuming. I am so excited to have a premium Sunday night HBO show coming back in White Lotus season 3.
Yeah. When does it come back? February?
Yeah, February.
Which now we're in.
We are in it.
Yeah.
But I think just generally it is so helpful, like, for community, for society.
Yeah.
When we've got that kind of like monoculture, like weekly moment to talk about a collectively consumed, really good prestige show.
And we've been missing it, I think, for a while now. Like,
though you did make the good point that Severance is like
Severance, for me, I feel like a lot of people watch that and like or want to talk about that, and it's another one of those ones where like we're all trying to figure out what's going on.
It's
you know,
really good. What I failed to understand is that Severance is episodic too.
Yeah,
it's like
it's a weekly drop.
releases.
Yeah, which I think that is just what people are craving is like a weekly.
And that's what makes it water cooler.
Yeah.
Okay, something I want to say about books though, I think like it's generally harder to get like that same kind of like mass saturation and market with a book than with like a TV show.
Yeah.
I think like part of it is TV has always been programmed. It's like you watch what's on the television, like linear TV, or like, you know, subscriptions. They're like
they put it in your face.
They put it in your face. They're merchandising what they want to, or like what they think you'll like. Because they have all this data on you. But then it's like books, you had required reading as a kid.
But otherwise, how are you?
I feel like readers kind of like find their way into what they like through libraries, through books, just to like...
And like word of mouth, which is kind of like a little bit what streamers are doing at this point.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like the biggest bookstore in the world is Amazon, and like they merchandise same as any other digital service. Yeah. But it's like, I just kind of think like a big hit book, I think it just like gets a lot fewer total audience members than a show.
Well, I think that's also because the average person is like not a reader. Is that like, I don't think, I think especially in our culture of screens, people aren't like, I think there's been a bit of a renaissance around reading generally. Yeah. But like, and I attribute that to TikTok mostly.
Well, hell yeah.
But like, I think perhaps there's just like a smaller audience.
And do you
also,
know what
maybe
I also attribute it to? I like romance being like mainstream now.
Yeah.
Like, it's platformed as something worthy, and
and like all the girls are reading it. Yeah.
Like, we will live in the shadows no longer.
Yeah. And I don't even want to get into this too much, but I think there's probably a correlation with like the Eras tour.
I can't even start.
I can't even bring Taylor Swift into this right now, but like I think that TikTok maybe has made like being a girl. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Or like being like have these like interests that I think previously people have been like shamed for.
Yeah.
It's like, no, there's like actually a lot of people who like this stuff, and like by this stuff I mean like Taylor Swift and smut.
I'm so with you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not like you're not weird.
Actually, like to like things that traditionally girls like is not like somehow morally based.
Wrong.
Or like,
or like stupid. You stupid girl.
Stupid
your pop music.
Girl with your great lyrics. You want to talk about friends?
Oh, yeah. I'm reading a book right now. So after reading my thriller, I pivoted back to romance because, like, Local Woman Missing scarred me. And I follow this girl on TikTok, or this woman, sorry, that was, like, so sexist. I follow this woman on TikTok, Mackin Style. I think her name is Mackenzie. But has this like book club. It's called the Bad Bitch Book Club. Cool. And she just has really good taste in books, I find, and she reads a lot of romance. So I was like, I looked at her top 10 for the year last year, and I read the book that we're going to talk about later, but also then I found this other, I was like, I really liked the one she recommended, so I was like, let me try another from this list. So I'm reading Between Friends and Lovers right now, and it's about this woman who is like a doctor, but she's also like an influencer, which is fun. Okay. But she's like finished with medical school, but she's like, I don't really want to become a doctor because I'm making so much money as an influencer. And she's like always been in love with her best friend from college. And then the beginning of the book starts with her at like a party at his house, and he's like a famous actor now, and his mom is also like a big time like movie producer or something. Nepo? Yeah, big Nepo vibes. And the best friend always has a girlfriend, of course. The new girlfriend is at the party, and she realizes this girl bullied her in middle school.
So the like protagonist influencer doctor was bullied by her best friend's new girlfriend.
Okay. Yeah, and she confronts the girl, and it's like a whole thing, and then it prompts her to be like, don't you know I'm in love with you? The guy is kind of like, what? And then
it's a guy?
Oh, sorry, yeah, it's like one of those weird girl-boy best friend group, best friendships. Okay. But at the same time, this guy shows up at the party who's like kind of shy, but he is a famous author. Or he's just written like his breakout book. Okay. And the mom wants to produce it into a movie. So
is the mom at the party? Is this
it's hosted at her house.
Kind of a multi-generational affair.
Yeah, it's hosted at her penthouse in Chicago. Sure. And so when our protagonist like leaves after telling her best friend, she like walks out, she like meets this guy. And they start talking, they hit it off. Oh, I forgot to mention she's a 29-year-old virgin. Nice. And her platform on social media is like talking about sex, which is really fun. Very fun. So she's like, just because I haven't had it doesn't mean I can like not educate other people on it. Excellent. And like, yeah, it was just very interesting. She's like, I'm gonna get over my best friend by like getting under this author who's really hot. Sure. And then it flips back between her and this guy. She's like, I just want you to like take my virginity.
Ravish me.
Ravish me. She's literally like, ravish me. And he's like, I would, but I like you too much. It's like, okay. Yeah. And she's like annoyed. He's like, yeah, no, I would ravish you totally, but I like you, and I think like he's not like you should experience it this way, but he's like, we're just gonna have a better time if we get to know each other first and like date, and then like I just like he wants to take it slow. Okay. And she's like, okay. She's like annoyed, but okay. Basically, they start dating. She stops talking to the best friend. She like literally blocks him. And then I just got to the point where there's this like side plot where her mom like abandoned her as a child, like was a really, really bad mom. And then I don't know if there's like a dad, to be honest, but she like emancipated herself in high school and does not speak to her mom. But then she's dating the guy. She's really happy. They finally have sex, and it's like, of course, it's like perfect. Cool. Okay. Yeah. And she's like using all of the research she's done, which is kind of a funny side plot. Yeah. Then like the next day, her mom calls her, and
chaos queen.
Also the guy after they have sex is like, I love you.
Oh.
And she's like, I don't, which is kind of fun. Yeah. But she's like, I might at some point. Sure. And she's like, and then she's also like, I don't really believe in love. Oops. Because I've been like so abandoned in life. And then her mom calls her, and she like freaks out and leaves. And then I've just gotten to like maybe 50% of the way through, and like she gets a new phone, and is now like the guy who tries to call her, Mal tries to call her, and it goes to like voicemail. And then she runs into the best friend, and now she's like, I think, dipping her toe back in the best friend.
Oh my god.
So I'll let you know how it ends. But I'm enjoying it. I do like the plot. I like that, like, I'm already so out on the best friend. I'm like, fuck the best friend. Mm-hmm. Not at all interested in them getting together. Totally. So I'm interested to see if I do like him as like a love interest, because I was really into the guy she met at the party.
My two things on what you're describing to me. Yeah. One, I think doctors who do influences should be disbarred or whatever the equivalent. I think it's malpractice. I don't know. In an old job, I did like a qualitative interview with an influencer who was like a surgeon. Yeah. And I was like, you are all influencer, no surgeon. Like, it's just...
Well, I mean, that is kind of like this doctor is, like, not really a doctor at all.
You're like a crooked cop.
Yeah, and I also think that I do think that, like, doctors, like, aren't, like, they, like, famously narcissists.
You really have to go through so much pain and suffering to become a doctor.
Yeah.
I think what we do to doctors is wrong, to be clear.
Well, you think they should do less school?
I think they should do as much school as they do, but I think it should be free. And
Oh,
I think
yeah.
they should be paid a lot more from the
Yeah.
jump, like during their residencies, too.
No, I agree, because it's, like, hourly. Not that they're, I mean, yeah, they're, they're just not making a lot of money until, like, I think we think that doctors are
Yeah.
making these, like, big salaries, but really while they're, like, training, it's not.
And that's why they have to, turn to their dear friend Big Pharma.
Yeah,
So-
they're hawking Wegovy on Instagram.
Which I hear is going to be tariffed terribly.
Is it really?
Well, yeah, T2, baby.
Oh my god.
I don't know. Or maybe it's Ozempic, not...
Well, aren't
whichever
they the
one is
same?
owned by Denmark, who's mad at us about Greenland. Whatever. So, you've introduced us to one book already, but we were going to use time in this episode
Yeah.
to talk about a book we both read
Yes.
and map it against the...
The Save the Cat Writes a Novel beat sheet.
She's back.
Yep.
Save the cat.
Yeah.
Okay, so the beat sheet, it's...
Oh, I have Cookie on my sweater.
The beat sheet, like we talked about, it's like those moments you bring your hero or your protagonist
Yes.
through.
It's a 15-point system that you just can use as like a map for your character, where if you hit all these different points and you have a book basically.
Hell yeah.
And what was really helpful in the book is that she gives you like a percentage of each where you should be
Okay.
in the book.
I think we're gonna, both having read this one romance book, like it's very much in the pocket of stuff we like to read and the kind of stuff we'd like to
Yeah.
write. We're now going to map it against the beats
Yeah.
to kind of like dissect a success,
A-
in our opinion, a successful
good
book.
romance novel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully that kind of dissection helps us write better
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Should we talk about what the book was about first?
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
So this was the first book recommendation that I got from that TikToker I mentioned.
Yeah.
And that now our book club is reading it.
Yeah.
But it's called How to End a Love Story.
By
Yulin Kwong.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yulin Kwong.
And it's about this woman who has written like a fantasy series, I think, for like young adults. And it's getting turned into a TV series, and she is joining the writing room.
Because she's kind of experiencing writer's block. She's like, I
Yeah.
think transitioning into the screenwriting exercise of
Yeah.
like adapting my own books.
Yeah.
It will be a good way for me to like stay
Unblock.
busy and also unblock.
So she takes this job and then quickly realizes, and you see in the first like scene, that her sister died by suicide when they were both in high school.
Yeah.
And the way it happened was that her sister jumped in front of a car. I guess trigger warning also. But her sister jumped in front of a car, and the guy who's driving it, her parents and her family have just like always blamed him for it, even though it wasn't really his fault.
Right.
They found evidence that she did it on purpose. She finds out that he has been hired on as like the second in command in the writer's room.
Yeah.
For her show.
He has made his career as a screenwriter.
Yeah.
He has worked his way up to like an executive producer credit. He's good at what he does.
Yeah.
And he knows that he obviously knows these books were written by this woman that he has a very tragic backstory with. Like,
Yeah.
they really didn't have any kind of relationship outside of his being his being behind the wheel.
Yeah.
When her sister died. But, he, they each have like processed it into adulthood in their own way. But he knows it's her books, and he knows
Yeah.
she's gonna be in the writing room, and he fights himself on it. He's like, I really should just like turn down this job.
But he's also like, I really need the job.
Yeah, he's at this moment in his career. He does need it. He's worked his way up to it, whatever. And so I think there's also like a morbid curiosity there.
Yeah, probably.
But he joins the room. He is second in command. She is taken by surprise when she goes to that first meeting with the writers and sees him.
And has like sort of a traumatic trauma response, probably.
Yeah. She's like,
Yeah.
how dare you give
Yeah,
me
yeah,
business
very
doing this to
cold,
me?
very-
And she's like, you know the right thing to do
Yeah.
is to resign from this project because you killed my sister. And she's really hard on that.
Yeah.
At this point, it's like, you know, he's having all these panic attacks too.
Yeah.
Where he feels like his whole career will unravel as a result of this.
Yeah.
But they both kind of persist and keep showing up, and then they're each muscling through it to prove, I don't know, kind of
That
in
they
a stubborn
can,
way.
I guess. Yeah. And then they both clearly are, like, more similar than they thought.
Yep. He's like nicing
And-
her to death, and
yeah.
she's having a hard time like maintaining the energy to be mean to him because it
Yeah.
doesn't feel good to her. It's not natural to her.
Yeah. And I think she does have, like, a mean streak, but she overcomes it.
Right. And
Yeah.
you know, the whole thing she's trying to overcome is really like grappling with her sister's death.
Death,
And like
yeah.
to forgive him means she has to acknowledge all of the stuff she really is mad at her sister about.
Yeah.
So
Did you like it?
I did.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I did find her mean.
Yeah. I mean, at times you're like, whoa. But then
Yeah.
you're also like, okay, her sister's dead.
Totally.
Yeah.
I found him compelling.
Oh, I also agree.
Yeah, he's like nice and hot, but he's like, you know, like his whole type seemed to be like guy who's too hot to be so deep.
Yeah. Because you are like, you get the impression that in high school he was like really cool.
Really
like,
cool, yeah.
And hot. And like anyone would be surprised that he is a screenwriter now.
Yep.
I think.
Yeah, but then he clearly had the chops.
Yeah.
Because I also liked that throughout the book. Like, he's good.
Yeah,
at what
he's
he
very,
does.
yes. And like, I think I like that like he's helping her figure out, because like she really struggles going from novel writing to screenwriting, and he kind of like helps her
Yeah. Because
figure that out.
And I think, like, that is one of the main distinctions between the two. And, like, I know we'll talk about this at some later
Yeah.
time. But it's, like, there's a social aspect to screenwriting
Yeah.
that is so important. It's, like, you not only have to have good ideas, but you really have to champion them
Yeah,
in a
pitch
very
'em.
competitive room.
Yeah.
And, like, I imagine a lot of people who are drawn to writing because it is this kind of, like, isolated or meditative task would get, like, trounced
Yeah.
in that environment.
And that's kind of, I think, what she's like struggling with a lot.
Yeah.
Is that she's just kind of like a quiet gal who likes to write.
yeah.
And
I
he's
think,
more like a good time.
I think we'd love a writer's room for what it's worth.
I think I would struggle at first.
You think so?
Yeah, because I'm not really like, I'm introverted, you know? I struggle to like get out of my shell.
Hey, let me go with you.
Yeah. Oh
Shut up, my
God.
friend's got an idea.
And then I'd be like, yeah.
No.
I'm a slow burn. You know, I'm like a slow release. People are always like, I'm the kind of people where people are like, Claire's kind of funny. After like a few
Yeah.
weeks, you know?
I hate that shit when people say that to me.
Yeah.
Like, wait, so you just like
No,
funny?
I
I'm like,
know.
yeah, are you dumb?
Yeah.
Like,
But that's just the way I roll.
what I find a little, like, I think I'd have maybe an easier ramp into a writer's room, largely because it seemed like, at least in the book, they made it seem like a large part of success in the room, or the success of their output even, is like that like confessional environment.
Yeah.
You have to,
yeah.
like really mine and even exploit your own experiences in that social room
Yeah.
to like get to the right, you know, character development or plot points or whatever. And I actually am a pretty confessional person, I think.
Yeah, you don't hide much. Yeah, in a good way.
Like, I think I would, I think I'd be okay with that. I'd have less barriers to entry because
Yeah.
that's not a huge deterrent to me.
I think because of stand up, I'd be like, yeah, you want to hear a bad story. Yeah. Sure, no problem. But I don't think I've always been that way.
You want to hear
You want to hear like the worst thing I've ever done. Yeah. Because they talk about how like everyone, I thought this was really interesting, where he's like, everyone has that one story that they bring out when they like really want to be like, no, I've lived.
No, totally. And he's like, it's most interesting once we get beyond that,
Yeah.
maybe like week 3, where people aren't just trotting out their
Yeah.
tried and trues, and now they're kind of like caught off guard saying something honest.
Yeah.
Not to say the other stories aren't honest, but they're very polished. It's like,
Right.
here's my story
Here's
about
the
me
thing.
that can be used.
Yeah. And now I'm just
for
sort
you.
of existing. I've done the thing.
Yeah. Also, to be clear, when Siege said because of stand-up, it's because
Oh.
she herself does stand-up comedy.
Yeah. So I exploit my own experiences all
You
the
lay
time.
it all out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of the gist of it. If it hasn't been made clear at this point, those two kittens they go from
0 to fucking 100.
yeah.
And that is my one criticism. I liked the book. I loved the book, actually. But it was a little bit, like, jarring to go from, I'll just say, like, spice level 5.
Oh, yeah.
5.
Yeah.
Like, and they go from, like, just starting to, like, be friendly, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my god.
It seems like one of the core, like, maybe even the core premise we were being asked to accept as readers was, like, sometimes horniness so far overpowers even deep trauma.
Yeah. And you know what? Yeah.
Like, you're really just being asked to believe that these two are so horny for each other. It was like Twilight level, like, I imprinted on her. I want to drink her blood.
Like obsession.
But it, you know, it was also packaged, like, I think, largely to pay off their, to make us believe they could have a successful romance.
It's like they need each other.
Right, but then they also had, like, I think the author had the challenge of, like, having to set them up as a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Because their beginnings were so fraught. So she couldn't go to full obsession where you're kind of like, oh, these two are, like, codependent.
Like love bombing, yeah.
But then at the same time, it's like, I've never seen any kind of, like, you know, healthy relationship between two independent individuals where they, like, are so damn obsessed with each other.
Yeah, like it just, and I will say, like, I think if we zoomed out, if a friend came to me and said this was happening, I'd be like, oh, I'd be a little bit like,
right, maybe we aren't being asked to believe that it's all that healthy, but it's,
I think,
healing all the same.
I mean, I think in the end, I think the initial relationship they get into is, like, not healthy.
Yeah.
But then I do agree with you, though, that, like, part of the horniness is, like, it's used as a device where it's, like, the only way they could overcome their trauma is by just, like,
through
needing each other so bad.
It was like that can't eat, can't sleep.
Yeah.
Like,
obsession. And I loved it because it was enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
I just really liked it.
I thought it was great. I thought it was really well written. I loved kind of like the nuance of her family. Like,
totally.
Also different cultures. She's first generation. She's Asian American, and he's like a white dude. But I think it's like the way her family, even just like the shrine to her sister, the altar, or whatever it was. Like, it's, I think, so well written that they're trying to overcome all of these boundaries to be together.
It's not just like the sister thing, but it's a big one. And I did really like her relationship with her parents, because there's like this whole thing where she's like only written young adult fiction because she's like afraid to write, not afraid, but she's like, what are my parents gonna think if I want to write smut for adults,
or even just like heavier themes, like life and death and whatever. But she like,
which I think is very like relatable to me, of like not wanting to disappoint your parents by the things that you want to write about. Anyway,
you don't want to go deeper on that one in episode 3?
Not yet.
No.
All right, so now I think as a fun exercise, we should take the beat sheet that we talked about last week. It's the 15 beats for writing a novel from the Save the Cat Writes a Novel book. And so I thought I would try to take the book we both read and give you like a quick overview of the beats, and then you tell me what you think, what point in the book each one was.
Okay, just
and
like
then
rapid fire?
Yeah, like rapid fire.
Okay.
And then maybe halfway through we can switch.
Yeah.
Which could be fun.
Yeah, you should be on the
yeah.
too.
I also think this is going to be hard. Okay. So once again, we had technical issues in episode 3. So we're re-recording the last bit.
Did you miss these outfits? We're bad. You can start by feeding me the first half of let's say the first 7 beats, and then we'll flip, and I'll do.
And I get the last 8. That doesn't seem entirely fair, but
no,
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. All right. So the first one is the opening image. It's in the first 1% of the book. Provides a quick before snapshot of your hero and their world. So I think this one's the funeral scene. It's Helen's little sister's funeral. She's there with her parents. She's kind of holding it all together for them. And she even feels, kind of a prickle on the back of her neck when Grant,
who obviously is there under fraught circumstances, being behind the
Yeah.
wheel of the car that killed the sister, arrives. Like Helen can kind of feel him. It's him.
Yeah.
And it sets up also their
Their
great,
chemistry or
their chemistry and also their conflict.
Yeah.
Because she's the one that ultimately has to kick him out of the funeral.
right. I think that's correct.
Thank you.
2, theme stated, this is in the first 5%, briefly alludes to the transformative journey that your hero will take and the flaws that they will conquer.
I think this is how unhappy she is in New York.
Yeah.
She's like got writer's block.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem to have friends. She's got those 2 bad friends.
Yeah, she has 2 friends who she's like, they seem kind of like jealous of her.
Writers, yeah. And she feels very suffocated by her like family and her parents' expectations, it seems like. So she's just like not sure where to move with it next. Clearly unable to overcome grief.
So number 3 is the setup, and this is like the first 10% of the book. So this includes the theme stated and the opening image, but it sets up your hero's life and their status quo world before everything changes.
Okay. So I think this is her like kind of grappling with the writer's block of it all, like needing to advance her life personally and professionally.
Yeah.
And like basically everything I just talked about in the last one.
Yeah.
It's like she needs the change though.
Yeah. And she like moves to LA. I guess that's part of it.
Is that it? Like
I think so
there?
because, well, I can see the future, which is the the next step. But I think the setup leads into number 4, which is the catalyst.
Okay.
At 10%, disrupts the status quo with a life-changing event.
And now she moves to LA.
Well, yeah, but I think
Okay, why'd you kind of set me up there?
I think moving to LA is part of the setup.
Oh, okay.
The catalyst, I believe, is when she realizes that Grant
So right.
is in the writer's room with her.
Got it. Okay. Set up, I moved to LA, but then the catalyst is the dinner then, where because Grant already knows they're going to be working
Yeah, which is
together.
crazy of him.
But she then figures it out.
Yeah, and she freaks out.
Yeah.
And she knows that it's going to be like a hard time.
She will have to confront the things she's running from.
Exactly. Okay, number 5 is debate. This is 10 to 20%, and it shows how resistant your hero is to change and or prepares your hero for the break into Act 2.
She's not super successful in the writer's room to begin with.
Yeah.
She's bringing all her same patterns. She's also resisting any kind of like forgiveness or reconciliation with Grant.
Yeah, he keeps kind of trying to be nice to her and like help her out in the writer's room
Yeah.
a little bit.
And she keeps just wanting to hate him for the death of her sister.
Yeah.
And she's rejecting invites, like just not letting people in.
Yeah, because other writers in the room are kind of trying to... And they go on this hike, this like team retreat, where she's like not being cool.
No, she's like
Being mean.
recognizing that it's hurting her at this point, which I think we're starting to see.
And she has an erotic dream about him.
She has an erotic is that a step? Erotic dream?
It should be. It would be funny if they had like the 15 beats for a romance novel, but it was just like things like that. Anyway. Okay, 6 is the break into 2. Nope. Did I already do that one? No, I didn't.
No, I've never heard that in my life.
This is at 20%, and it brings the hero into the upside down world of Act 2, where they will fix things the wrong way.
Oh.
So.
Okay, I think this is when they start to get together, but they won't like give themselves permission to really
be together.
Yeah. Like she keeps saying, as soon as this writer's room is up, I go back to New York. And she, like, for a while they don't even kiss. She just does a hand job.
Yeah, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, as a way for her to be like, we can
We're
still say
not
nothing's
dating.
happened yet.
Yeah.
No one would say nothing happened, but
That
okay.
is crazy intimate, but okay.
Yeah. Is there anything else about how they're doing it wrong, though?
No, but I think that's they keep talking about how like they like literally say out loud, we're only gonna we're just hooking up, and it's just for the duration of this writer's room because we know it can't last.
Oh, and then maybe also it's like because her family remains this like very like important part of the tension, I think, where she's like not telling anyone that he is in the writer's room. She's like,
I'll just bury this.
Right. She's letting them explore it under totally untenable circumstances. Because, like, the big thing is if her parents ever find out,
they'll be pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's very beholden to their opinion.
Yes. Okay, number 7 is the B story, and this is at 22%, but it just must happen.
22?
I know.
That can't be.
It's like, yeah, some of these, that's
Are we
like,
doing calculus?
that's why I'm a little bit afraid to use this beat sheet, because I feel like I'm going to be like, okay, I've done 10 pages.
Time for the erotic dream.
Exactly. But this says it must happen in the first quarter of the book.
Okay.
So this introduces the character that will represent the B story and help the hero learn the theme.
What the fuck is it? I don't know.
I think it's this is confusing because B story feels like B story character. I'm like, well,
Right.
Grant's like A story, but like I don't think so. I think he is the character that helps her like overcome her grief and all that.
I don't know. What if it's her friend? Her friends?
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible actually.
Do you not believe the friends can be
As compelling as a man.
Yeah. Redemption.
No, I actually think that's a really good point, and you might be right. Because every good protagonist must have a sidekick.
And it shows that she's like opening herself up to like real friendships that aren't just like these weird success obsessed but isn't it also the friend, not the younger girl in the writer's room, but the what's her name? But she's the one who's like, you need to get your head out of your ass with Grant.
Yeah, they do push her to like make better choices throughout the remainder of the novel.
Yeah, but I don't know.
No, I think that's a really good point. I don't know the answer.
Okay.
I think it's either Grant or the friends.
Okay.
Okay, switching.
Switch.
You are number 8.
Switcheroo. Okay, 8 is fun and games, and this is happening in like between 20 and 50% of the novel. Nope. God, your handwriting.
It's really bad, I'm sorry.
Delivers on the promise of the premise. There we
Yeah.
are. And shows how hero is faring in the world of Act 2. Having fun or floundering.
So I think this is like when she is hooking up with Grant, really, and like they're just like having a lot of fun. And then she's also kind of starting to thrive in the writer's room, right?
She's doing a lot better.
Yeah, and she's like making progress with these friends. Yeah, I think it's just going kind of well. And then they fall into this rhythm where they are essentially dating, but they're lying to themselves about the fact that they are dating.
And everyone else.
And everyone else as well.
Yep. 9, midpoint. What it sounds like. All right. Marks the middle of the novel with false defeat or false victory while also raising the stakes of the story.
False defeat or false victory.
You don't know this? I'm kidding. I have no idea.
Okay, good. I think maybe it's tripping me up because midpoint is like feels like it should be way earlier in the book, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what it is? I think it's when they have that conversation because at first they're just hooking up and there's no rules, and they're kind of just like it's just kind of crazy, and then they're clearly like developing feelings for each other, so they have like a talk.
Yep.
And they're like, okay, we'll just put these really strict rules on it where we will be done dating.
And we're not allowed to talk about it being done. We're just gonna
because we'll get too sad.
Yeah.
Because we're actually in love with each other.
but we're acknowledging it's gonna be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay.
And that's a false victory.
False victory. So true. Okay, then 10 of 15. Bad guys close in. This is happening like halfway to 3/4 of the way through. Provides a false place for your hero to rebound after a false victory or false defeat while the flaws are closing in.
Okay, so I think this is just they're still hooking up. Life's good. But they're like you can feel that the pressure is like starting to there's cracks, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't she break it off or something because she's like well maybe it culminates in
I think this could be when her parents come to town too.
oh but hadn't they already broken up by then?
Oh. Maybe.
I think this is when she's like trying to make it work and the pressures are starting to come down and he's starting to be like I think we should still be together and she's like no I was serious about the timeline.
Yeah. Then step 12 or I'm so sorry 11 all is lost. This happens 3/4 of the way through the book. Illustrates your hero's rock bottom, their very lowest.
So I think this is the car accident. Okay. Whew.
Yeah,
Jeeps is nodding. I'm assuming she has an answer sheet.
Joops wrote saves the cat.
Oh, we should have gotten her. I think this is when she gets in the car accident. I think that's rock bottom for her because her parents have just found out that she was dating Grant, right?
Yeah. That he's in the writer room, period.
Yeah, period. No, sorry.
And they have already broken up. She's like, I can't do this to my family. But her parents are livid with her. He's livid with her.
Yeah, he's like, this is crazy.
And her boss comes, the head of the writer's room. Like, everyone just takes a turn in her hospital room, like
berating her.
Like,
all of her bones are broken.
Rock bottom.
So that's rock bottom for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the next step is 12, Dark Night of the Soul. The hero hits rock bottom, wallowing, and they learn the theme.
So I think this is when she goes back east after she gets hit by the car. She's kind of like, I'm done with LA, which is,
She puts her tail between her legs and she packs it up.
Now that we're talking about it, it's so funny that like she goes to LA and gets, it's not funny that she gets hit by a car, but like the city of cars.
Yeah, that is kind of funny.
So she returns home and she's like, I'm over LA. I need to just return to my East Coast living with my bad friends. Yeah,
totally.
And she's starting to realize though, I think that like she's like, I did love Grant and like, should I have actually broken it off? But she's not there yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that like a lot of her hesitancies and just like allowing herself to love him aren't about him at all.
No, they're about her like grief, really.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're breaking into Act 3. The hero finds inspiration often from the B story and decides it's time to fight.
Okay, this is making me realize that perhaps the B story is the
family.
Sister.
Oh.
Or family.
Yeah, maybe.
Because at this point she's like, oh, I should be writing a book. She breaks through her writer's block and she's like, I should write a book about my sister's death.
Yep.
So she starts writing that.
And she's always been kind of barred from doing so by her perceived obligation to her parents.
Yeah.
Like, they can't handle it, so I can't go there, which has stunted her own processing of it.
True.
So it's kind of healing her relationship with them, too.
Yes.
Okay, 14. Finale. This happens 80% of the way to 99% of the way. So really,
percentages are so crazy.
27%. Like, what the fuck? Hero confronts the antagonist and whatever stands in their way. Wow, crazy. Lessons from Act 2 in action.
Okay, I think this is so Helen has written this manuscript and she sends it to Grant and then she's like, I'm gonna go to our show premiere and I bet I'll run into him.
She's like hanging all her hopes on that.
Yeah. And then she goes and we realize he didn't go.
But he's all dressed up. He put on his nice outfit, but he can't bring himself to go there.
Because he's like literally so heartbroken over it.
He's like, she told me she doesn't want me. I have to listen.
I have to move on. Yeah. But then she goes back to her hotel room and sends him the manuscript
that she's written about her sister.
Yes. And he's like, basically there's a lot of stuff about him in there too, because it's like about her struggles with love.
Loving him is really what allowed her to process her grief in many ways.
Yes. So
Joops didn't like
Joops
that.
has started out 15 burps today. So she sends a manuscript and then she signs it yours, Helen. And then he's like, what does it mean?
And that is so hot.
It's
to
so hot.
Spin out over the word yours.
That's something, I'm sorry, a man would never do. And
Yeah,
it's why
kinda.
I read books.
That's a good point. So it's not even the manuscript. He shows up at the door. He's like, tell me what this word means.
Yeah.
What do you mean by yours?
And she's like,
If you'll have me.
wait, is that the end? Is that the last? No.
Well, then the very final step.
Yeah, and so then they get together.
Final image. A reflection of the opening image showing how the hero's world and character have, I don't fucking know, changed.
Yeah, I don't. This just,
It looks like it looks like Olay or something. It's a crazy word.
So this is, I think, the wedding scene.
Yeah.
They get married at the end,
Which is like a good echo of the funeral.
Yeah, one wedding and a funeral. And that's the 15 beats. I think now that we've done it twice, we really got it.
We've done it more than twice.
That's also true. Okay. So, we like to end the episode by talking about what is the most romantic thing that happened to us this week.
That's right.
This can be anything. It can be an encounter with a loved one, or just really anything.
Finding romance anywhere and everywhere, baby.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
No, I want you to go first.
Okay, sure. So mine was clearly, I got my Eagle sweatshirt on, but mine was this week in the episode that we recorded. We traveled by train from DC back to New York on the day of the Commanders Eagles game.
Yep.
And I was just really, I didn't realize how many football fans would be on that train because it stops in Philly where the game was.
Yeah.
So people were going to the game.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So the most romantic thing for me was seeing the split between the Commanders fans and the Eagles fans on the train and how sweet they were to each other. And Eagles fans get a really bad rep for being violent and hateful, but let's remember, hate and love,
Two sides
of the same coin.
Yeah.
And everyone was just being really jovial and kind to each other. And at one point I heard someone say like, oh, no matter what, half of us are going home sad.
And isn't that romantic? Like, to love something is to acknowledge you could lose it. Like,
that is the definition of putting your heart on the line.
seriously.
So I was very moved by that.
And that they were walking in with their hearts equally wide open.
Yeah, they were really, and especially the Commanders fans, like.
All right, you don't need to like be patronizing now that we know the results of the game.
No, but well, yeah, actually, you're right. I wasn't feeling that way.
As we wear our Eagles green the day of the Super Bowl. Spoiler, that's what day it is today.
I also realized I have my green notebook now.
Which is crazy because my main experience of that crowd on the train, we were seated separately because the train was so full for the game, was a cohort of Commanders fans coming back from the cafe car with their arms full of beers, one of them screaming, "Popeye's got his spinach!"
I love that. We gotta start saying that. That's really good.
It was pretty good, yeah.
Okay, do you have
Yeah,
a moment for me?
my most romantic thing that happened in the week in question was when we were at Steven's birthday party in DC. I was having a conversation with a young person. Okay. He was like 23. Maybe.
Yeah.
I was like the crypt
youngest you
keeper to
can
him.
be.
Yeah, it's the youngest a person can be, and I was the oldest person he'd ever met. But he didn't realize that yet. I think he thought we were close.
Yeah, when you're
who am I
23,
kidding?
everyone is 23. You're like, I can't possibly understand how a person could be.
I remember being 20. I think I was actually 22 in my first job, and a coworker who had the same role as me was 25, and I was like, 25.
Which is crazy because it's literally 2 years older. Like,
I know, but like, how crazy! Yikes. Anyway, talking to a young gentleman, and he was kind of new to DC. He had followed his brother there, I think, and lived with his brother. And I said, "Oh, my brother lives in New York. Like, we both live in the same city too." And he immediately goes, "Oh, are you gay? And do you live together?" And I was like,
crazy thing to say. I love it.
"Oh, are you both gay? And do you live in the same house?" And I was like, "Well, we just happen to both be straight. And actually, now I live with my husband." He's like, "Jesus, you're the oldest person I've ever."
An H word right now. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, but I thought it was so romantic that this guy's like default worldview was like, "Oh yeah, you must live with your brother,
Your gay brother,
in like a beautiful queer space." Like,
That's very sweet.
It all kind of maps to this like romantic notion I have of like, why would we ever live like
Apart.
with a husband and 2.5 kids in a house 20 minutes from anyone we love? Like, I want to live with all the people I love in a commune. And
yeah, you've long said you want us all to live like in the same apartment building.
Yeah,
Which I do think is really nice.
Apartment building, it could be like a beautiful kind of like collective work environment.
A farm where we all wear like white dresses.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm in. I would love to live with you and your husband.
Thank you. all I
And your
want.
brother too.
I don't know when
Brothers.
it happened, but you have ink in your eyebrow, or maybe you just like made your eyebrow weird.
No, I probably. Well, I have like eyebrow gel in, so maybe I like.
Oh, I think you just like did a Jack Frost.
Oh no! Oh, like the glue's flaking off.
Yeah, it's just like, you know how he kind of
Yeah,
styles them
okay.
upward.
And
Yeah.
doing like yeah.
Anyway,
Okay, that's it.
bye.